Hello everyone, Dr. Sutter Caton, physical therapist here with Vive Health. I'm looking forward to sharing all my knowledge with you and I hope you enjoy. So a common area of weakness in a lot of knee, hip, ankle injuries is hamstring strength. So specifically ACL, patellofemoral pain or runner's knee, and meniscus injuries. A lot of times the hamstrings are pretty weak relative to the quadriceps and the hip flexors. So this is a really simple exercise to start improving that hamstring strength. So ankle weight works perfect for this, and then have a chair, table, countertop, whatever you have in front of you to just kind of steady yourself. So what I'm gonna do on this exercise, pretty basic hamstring curl, but some things you wanna look out for. I wanna keep my knees pinched together because that's gonna prevent some compensation. So a lot of times, depending on the area of the hamstring that's weakest, because there are 3 different hamstring muscles, your body may have a tendency to rotate out as it comes up, as it tries to use some of the stronger muscles. So you really want to pay attention to that. And so an easy way, I call it training wheels, or basically cues to make sure the exercise is performed correctly at first. On this one, we're going to pinch those knees together and make sure that that heel is coming straight up behind us as high as we can. Hold it for a second or two and let it back down under control. So don't let it just plop back down. We want to work on that eccentric that strength, or putting the brakes on. So I'm going to let it down slow and I'm going to pull it back up. Another thing you want to look out for is arching of the back. So especially as you try to get that higher, the tendency is to arch the lower back. So why I like having something in front of me is I can just be slightly bent over, not too much, but enough that it's gonna prevent me from arching my back. So we're gonna come up, we're gonna hold for a second or two, really focus our attention to the muscles we're working, the hamstrings at the back of the thigh, and then let it down slow. So you wanna use a weight that 10 to 15 repetitions is a good challenge for you. So this exercise here is designed to strengthen the glute medius, which is the glute muscle that's more on the side of the hip compared to the glute max, the larger muscle kind of right and straight behind us. So it's an exercise you might have seen before, but I like to provide some different cues and hopefully you get a little bit more out of it compared to the normal way. So what I like to do is actually be more straight down, kind of resting my hand on my head. And so simple exercise that you've seen before is pretty much, just bringing the leg up. Some things that I see a lot of people do wrong though, and they're really not getting as much out of the exercise as they can, is a couple things. One, that leg starts to drift in front of them. So I want it in line with my body, but a lot of people, their more dominant muscles or hip flexors, other muscles want to take over and bring that leg in front of us. So what I cue people is to keep it right in line with the rest of your body. Another thing you may see is as you go up, the toes like to drift out. And so once again, you're kind of limiting how much of the glute medius we're targeting when you let that happen. So I tell people either keep your toes pointed forward, or even the opposite way is kind of rotate them towards the ground and then bring that leg up, and I guarantee you'll feel it a little more in the side of the hip there where we want it. One final thing people do wrong is their goal is to try to get that leg as high as they can, and so to do that, they start to do a little bit of a side crunch here with their lower back and their hips, and then they may have back pain from that, or at the very least they're not getting as much out of the exercise as they can. So I tell people to only go as high as you can before you start to feel the hip hike or the side of your body crunch, because at that point we know we've maxed out the range of motion of our hip, and now we're working other areas that we may not necessarily want to work. So once again, toes pointed towards the ground, leg flat and straight in front of the body. Bring that leg up as high as I can where it's only the hip moving. Let it back down slow. So this exercise is called the heel tap. It's a great way to retrain the way the patella, the kneecap moves as you bend and straighten the leg. So really important with patellofemoral pain syndrome, since a lot of times people report the most time they're having pain is going up and down stairs. So this is a really good way to retrain the proper tracking of that kneecap. It's also great for other knee injuries, ACL, meniscus, anything where you need to work on the control of that knee and prevent excessive movement side to side. So this is a really great way to start retraining that and strengthen those areas. So what's great is to have a couple inches of some sort of object that you can stand on one foot on. So this might be a large book or a couple books that are sturdy enough. If you have a step at home, that can work as well. You want to start, the smaller the height, the easier it's going to be, and you can progress to higher and higher up. But if you're stuck with only a large object that you can stand on, if you're just conscious about only lowering as far as you can with control, then that does the job well. And so that's something I'll touch on as I go through the exercise. So what we're going to do is place our one foot on whatever we're stepping on. The other foot, you're going to keep the toes pointed up the whole time. So this is why I call it the heel tap. And so you can kind of touch down if you need to rebalance. So the exercise here is I'm going to lower down, tap my heel, and come back up. So the things I'm conscious of as I'm going down and up is I want this knee to pretty much go in the direction of about the second toe or so. So somewhere between the big toe and the second toe. So what I see a lot with people as they go down is that knee really wants to cave in, and then you're potentially damaging your meniscus, or it goes excessively out if they have issues with the kneecap going outwards or tightness in the lateral hip. So I like to be conservative with the height of my step, because if I put someone on something too high, it may look good the first few inches, but then their form starts to go as they try to get lower and lower, and they just don't have that motor control yet. So like I said, start with something that's a few inches, pull the toes up, touch the heel, and come back up. I'm also thinking about sitting back into my hips, so we'll show you a side view so you can see what that looks like. But I don't want to come excessively forward where my knee gets exaggerated and goes way over the front of my toes. So I'm really kind of sitting my hip back, lowering down, touching the heel, and coming back up. Really worried about the control of that knee and making sure it goes just straight over the rest of my foot. I hope you found the video helpful, and thank you for watching.